my dear children, Namaste and welcome to session 3 of our class 10 ICSE biology chapter Cell Cycle and Cell Division. This is Ambika, your biology master teacher, right here on this amazing platform of Vedantu. So hope all of you are doing absolutely great and staying happy and staying healthy. As I always say, especially these days, that is most important. Take care of yourselves, take care of everyone around you, and let us just happily move ahead with our daily lives. Okay, so as with every session, let's get started with a motivational quote. Yes, here it is. Forget the mistake, but remember the lesson. Well, I'm sure all of you have understood what this actually means, because all of us, we are human beings. We are not machines to have like 99.99% accuracy all the time. There can be mistakes. Some mistakes could be very small. Some mistakes could be really, really huge. It doesn't matter. What actually matters is that you learn a lot of lessons from your mistakes. As long as you don't commit the same mistakes over and over again, because you must be remembering the lessons that you learned from that mistake. That's all that matters. You end up polishing yourself and becoming a much better individual every single day. Okay, so this applies to all of us, you, me, and everyone, be it children, adults, or anyone, but this especially matters to you all because you are still in your teen years and it's easy to get very upset over simple mistakes that you could have committed. I'm not talking just with respect to exams, obviously. I'm talking about everything, anything and everything that we do in our daily lives, okay? Because it's natural to commit mistakes. That's all right. Let's just forget that. It's not that we should avoid thinking about our mistakes altogether. Let's forgive ourselves for committing that mistakes, but let's remember the lesson we learned from that for the rest of our lives so that we never commit the same mistakes again. Okay, and let's move ahead. Okay. Yes. Before we get started with today's concepts, there are a few things that I would like to list. These are the most common problems that children face, most of you face these days, especially because it's online education, online teaching. You may have a lot of unanswered doubts. You may not have access to proper and systematic notes, systematic tests and assignments, preparation for competitive exams, choice of schedule, choice of language. All of that become a problem, right? But then the good news is that we at Vedantu have all of these problems solved for you, along with a few added bonuses. What are they? Unlimited live classes at Vedantu, all micro and crash courses, performance reports, and personalized attention. What more would you need? For those of you who are not aware of micro courses are basically they are basically pocket-sized courses and also pocket-friendly courses, in the sense that they are concept-wise or even chapter-wise courses. For instance, you want to study only a particular chapter from your syllabus. Micro courses are just the thing for you, available at a very, very reasonable price also. Okay. But then all of these features that I have mentioned together come in what we call the pro subscription. Okay, so we have a number of plans for that, which also I will be telling about. But then all you have to do is to know more about this. Just visit vdnt.in/ytpro. Okay, make a note of this. At the end of the session, again, I'll be showing you the same link. So what do? Once you go there, you can choose your grades. So for you guys, it's going to be grade 10, and then you choose your target. Select your target. It's going to be ICSE 2021 for you guys. If there's any other board student who's watching me right now, choose it accordingly. Okay. And then check out all the details which are mentioned there. Then what do? Click on get subscription. Then what? The biggest question comes. Pricing. So let me now tell you about that. We have 3 major plans for 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. For 1 month, normally the amount payable is 2,699, as mentioned here at the bottom. But then we have a special code for you, a special coupon code for you, which is AMBPRO, application of which would give you a reduced amount payable which gets reduced to 2,294.15. Okay, AMBPRO is going to be your coupon code. This is for a 1 month subscription. Okay, so for that 1 month you're going to have unlimited access to all of these features that I mentioned and everything else mentioned here on this screen right now. Then comes the 3 month subscription. Normally the amount payable would be 6,999, whereas application of the code AMBPRO reduces it to 5,949.15. Okay, so for 3 months you're getting subscription to unlimited subscription to all of these. And then comes our 6 month subscription, the amount payable for which is normally 11,499. But after application of the coupon code, it gets reduced to 9,774.15. Okay, the same coupon code AMBPRO, which you just need to remember. So vdnt.in/YTPRO is the link you need to visit, and the coupon code that you can apply is AMBPRO. Okay guys, so let us keep that in mind, make the best use of all the educational material that we have out here at Vedantu, because definitely, especially this year for the 2020 and 2021 children, this is going to help you a lot. Okay, so no harm in trying it out. Check out what suits you and your budget and choose wisely. Okay guys, so let us just move ahead and learn about mitosis, one very, very important concept of this chapter, cell cycle and cell division. Okay, so one second. But before that, let me also tell you the answer to the homework question we had in the last session. After an injury, why doesn't the brain heal as fast as organs like the skin? Basically, this is the answer. The cell cycle of skin cells is much shorter than brain cells, and since cell division is a part of the cell cycle, the skin cells duplicate much more frequently, which is why there is continuous shedding of your skin and formation of new skin cells. Your hair also, what is it basically? Your hair, nails, all of that is basically dead cells. Okay, but then they keep growing longer and longer because all of them keep dividing very, very fast. Most mature brain cells, on the contrary, they do not divide further. It is said that, I think latest research does prove that there is some extent of division that happens in brain cells, especially when they are just staying as premature brain cells or premature neurons in your brain. But then most brain cells or nerve cells, which we call neurons, once they are completely mature, they do not divide further. They remain in the resting phase, which I told you is called the G0 phase in the last session, remember? Okay. So now let us move ahead. Just for a quick recap, or to give you better context for this session, let's recall at least the names of the stages we discussed in the cell cycle. Remember what cell cycle is, right? It's basically the list of events or the sequence of events or the series of events which happen between the formation of a cell until a cell divides into two. Okay, that is what we call cell cycle, and we have discussed that broadly it's divided into the interphase and the M phase. Interphase we've seen in detail in the last session. There's the G1 phase, S phase and the G2 phase, after which there is the M phase or the mitotic phase, and that is exactly what we are going to be discussing today. All this that you see, hold on for a bit, you will understand that well in detail by the time we are done with today's session. Okay, this is not going to take you much time. Probably like within the next 10 minutes or so, we will be done talking about the M phase or the mitosis phase. Okay, so let us move ahead. Remember, there are two major types of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. A good majority of the cell divisions in your body, in our body, belong to the first category, which is mitosis. Okay, then what is meiosis? Meiosis or meiosis, as many of us pronounce it, but meiosis is said to be the correct pronunciation. So whatever suits you, whatever is comfortable with you, go ahead with that. But mitosis and meiosis is how correctly it's normally pronounced. Okay, so mitosis normally occurs in nearly every cell of your body. Okay, all your somatic cells basically. What are your somatic cells now? You must have learned this in your lower grades, but just in case you've forgotten that, somatic cells are those cells in your body which includes every cell except your gametes. Okay, Except your sperm and ova, every other cell in your body is said to be a somatic cell. And somatic cells always divide by mitosis. What about meiosis? Meiosis is found only when gametes have to be formed. There are certain cells in your reproductive system which are destined to divide and give rise to the sperm and ova respectively in males and females. So that is a different type of cell division called meiosis, which we will be discussing in the upcoming session, in the next session. Not today, because let's not overburden you. Okay, guys? So why have I mentioned diploid and haploid here within brackets? Diploid because mitosis results in two diploid daughter cells formed from one diploid parent cell. If there are 46 chromosomes in a parent cell, daughter cells also would be having 46 chromosomes each in the case of mitosis. Whereas in meiosis, it is haploid. Your gametes are the only haploid cells in your body. Why so? Why are they called haploid? The number of chromosomes in your gametes is literally half as that in somatic cells. Okay, so the parent cell when meiosis starts has 46 chromosomes, but it undergoes various divisions, and at the end of meiosis, it gives rise to daughter cells, each of which would have half the number of chromosomes as the parent cell, forming haploid daughter cells from diploid parent cells. That is what meiosis is. Now again, children, let me repeat, don't break your head too much over this, because as I said, we will be discussing meiosis in detail in our next session. For now, do understand what mitosis is. Okay, diploid cells. We are only concerned with diploidy in today's session. Okay, which means having two sets of chromosomes, which is the normal 46 number or 23 pairs of chromosomes as we call it in human cells. Okay, so let's move ahead. Now, mitosis, as I defined it, basically this is the main feature. If you had to describe mitosis in one single line, same number of chromosomes is maintained per cell division. Okay, so a parent diploid cell divides into two diploid daughter cells. Each of them divides into two diploid daughter cells, and so on and on and on. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, 8 becomes 16, 32, 64, and so on. Okay, but then what exactly happens? It just doesn't magically happen in one step. There is a lot that a cell has to do to prepare itself for division. We have seen all this preparation happens in the interphase, the G1, S and G2 phase, wherein it prepared itself, gathering all machinery and duplicating the DNA content and everything in interphase itself, so that once it enters the mitotic phase, it is ready to go through whatever it has in store. What is it that it has in store? Have a look at this. Two major steps in mitosis are what we call karyokinesis and cytokinesis. Karyokinesis in biology, karyon means nucleus, cyto refers to the cytoplasm, and kinesis is splitting. So kinesis of the karyon, which is splitting of the nucleus, is what happens in karyokinesis. Look at that beautiful gif there. I think it pretty much explains what it is like to for mitosis to happen. There, look at that now. Dividing cell, karyokinesis first, and then cytokinesis occurs, right? Splitting of the cytoplasm occurs. Splitting of nucleus first, and then it forms further boundaries, and the cytoplasm splits into two. Okay? And now let us look at an overview of mitosis. It mainly happens in 4 major phases, which we call prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Okay, but of course, before prophase is what we discussed in the previous session called interphase. Okay, once it is crossed interphase, it's ready to enter into prophase. Okay. And now what happens in each of them? Let us try to understand them step by step. Okay, first step, interphase, we've already seen. This is the basic gist of it. Okay, we had 3 substages and all that, but this is just there to give you a better context of it. Synthesis of DNA is the main event there, so that it has enough DNA to split and distribute equally among its daughter cells. Okay, the cells are completely impartial towards their respective daughter cells, so they want to divide all of their earnings. What are their earnings? DNA. They want to split it equally among their daughter cells, which is why that is written here as the highlighted main event in interphase. And of course, formation of centrioles. There's chromatin, which is there, and then there is nucleus and the nuclear envelope, which can be clearly seen, plasma membrane, as you can see. All of these can be clearly seen at the time of interphase. And now once it enters into the prophase, this is what happens. Now remember children, pro, okay, in biology, pro always means first, okay. So what happens here is the chromosomes condense into the X-shaped structures. Remember these structures? I explained to you when I told you the difference between chromatin, chromosomes and chromatids. Right, so X-shaped structures because the sister chromatids are there and they start condensing. I think in interphase they partially start forming this because DNA synthesis occurs, but now in prophase they begin to condense into clear-cut X-shaped structures, which consists of sister chromatids bound together by the centromere, okay. And then what happens? The centrioles move apart and reach opposite poles, as you can see, okay, opposite poles of the cell. And then you can see spindle fibers begin to appear. These are the spindle fibers. I think I told you in the last session that they are very, very important components as far as cell cycle and cell division is concerned. Okay, and then another very, very important event, the nuclear membrane and the nucleolus disappear. Inside the nucleus, there is a nuclear membrane and there is the nucleolus also inside the nucleus, right? They start disappearing, which is why the nuclear membrane here is drawn as a dotted circle, okay? Why is it so? This is because in the next phase, you will see, look at that. Look at where it was in prophase, and now in the second phase, which we call metaphase, look at where the chromosomes are, okay? They have moved out. You don't see a structure which is called the nucleus. It's just one cell inside which you see the chromosomes lined like evenly in the middle, or what we call the equator of the cell. Okay, meta stands for middle. So this happens, and this is exactly why the nuclear membrane and nucleolus disappear, because they may come in the way of chromosome movement. When it is time for cell division, when the cell division actually occurs, the chromosomes keep moving here and there. As a hindrance, the nuclear membrane should not be there, which is why nature had a smart plan here as well, which is disappearance of the nuclear membrane and the nucleolus, so that chromosomes can freely move around in the cell. Okay, so this is what you see in metaphase, wherein chromosomes are lined up in one plane at the equator, line up at the equatorial plate, okay, and then the chromosomes get attached with the spindle fibers. You can see spindle fibers here in prophase. It was just beginning to form. By the time it's metaphase, you can see it's grown much longer, and the spindle fibers have attached themselves to what we call the centromere. Okay, so the spindle fibers, imagine them as thread-like structures which have formed and attached themselves to the centromere of the chromosomes. Okay, so this is about metaphase, prophase, metaphase. Meta stands for middle. Okay, now comes anaphase. Ana, the prefix ana means opposite. What does it happen? What happens here is basically the most important highlighted event is that sister chromatids split away from each other. As you can see that, look at that. This is how they were in metaphase, and then I told you the spindle fibers are attached at the centromere, right? So what do? The spindle fibers start separating the sister chromatids and moving them towards opposite poles of the cell. Look at that. That is exactly what occurs here. And then what happens? Then the furrow, you see that small furrow, right? It begins to, a small cleavage like a structure there, it begins to appear in the middle of the cell. Not too much, but it just begins to appear in the middle of the cell. Okay, because separation of sister chromatids was a very, very important part of anaphase. It's the chief event in anaphase. Once that has occurred, the cell is now preparing to split into two, which is why this furrow is beginning to form here. And now what? Telophase. Telo in biology means end or last. So here the two sets of daughter chromosomes reach opposite poles. now what happens? Now the main purpose is met, the main purpose is done, by which I mean the single sister chromatids have reached opposite poles. Now we call them chromosomes. We don't call them sister chromatids anymore because they don't have any connection with each other anymore. Although they formed together, they have now split and moved towards opposite poles. Okay, they are now in their own respective families. They are now going to start their own families. Imagine them like that, sisters who moved away from each other and went on to start their own families. Okay, something like that. So now we are going to be referring to them as chromatin, okay, rather than sister chromatids. Okay, chromatin or chromosomes. So but then let's remember, spindle fibers have disappeared by the time we reach telophase, because it's now not important. All that pulling and pushing and everything has already been done. So telophase, the spindle fibers disappear, chromatids become thin and are now called chromatin fibers. And then, very important, before they split into two completely, nuclear membrane has to be reformed, right? So it reforms around each set of chromosomes in each daughter cells, and then nucleoli also reappear. One nucleolus here, one nucleolus here reappears, and the cleavage furrow also deepens further and further. Okay, and then comes cytokinesis, which is splitting of the cytoplasm, forming the two separate independent daughter cells with their own set of chromosomes, 46 chromosomes each. Okay, children, so this is about the events in mitosis. But just for you to get an information, not that this will come in your exam, as in the daughter cell of plant cell and animal cell. This is just there as an extra piece of information. You can see the microfilaments ring here, the cleavage furrow, it becomes the cleavage furrow here, and then it splits into two daughter cells. Whereas in a plant cell, there is the cell plate here, the cell plate joins to the plasma membrane, and then what happens? You see the structure which is called middle lamella, and there you see the cell wall which forms between the two daughter cells. These are just simple minute differences between mitosis in a plant cell and mitosis in an animal cell, which normally I have not seen being asked in any ICSE paper previously, but it's important to have this understanding as a biology student, because not every eukaryotic cell divides exactly in the same manner. Minute differences. But then remember the stages, IPMAT, what are those? Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase remain exactly the same in both of them. Okay, so now let's have a quick overview of mitosis once again. Interphase, we've already seen that, which actually is a phase that occurs before mitotic phase starts. Okay, but then to set context, it's always advisable to talk about interphase, wherein you see there is the centrosome, there are the chromosomes, and then it's assembled all its machinery and is now ready to enter into prophase of the M phase. Okay, so now this happens, and in prophase, chromosomes pair up. Basically, the chromosomes condense and appear in the X-like, the famous X-shaped structures with sister chromatids attached at the middle by the centromere. This is the shape, or this is the form in which we see the chromosomes in prophase. And then comes metaphase. Metaphase, meta is middle. What occurs in the middle of the cell? Basically, the chromosomes move to the equatorial plate of the cell and arrange themselves there. And spindle fibers begin to lengthen and attach themselves to the centromere, okay, of the chromosomes. And then comes anaphase, wherein sister chromatids are pulled apart towards opposite poles by the spindle fibers, by the shortening of the spindle fibers. And then comes telophase, which is the last phase of the mitotic phase, wherein the cell pinches in the middle and the daughter chromosomes of now the sister chromatids have completely moved towards opposite poles. We now call them pretty much independent daughter cells, but they are still connected somewhere in the middle. The cytoplasm hasn't been divided yet in telophase if you look at it. And then that splits only when cytokinesis occurs, wherein that furrow in the middle, the cleavage furrow, deepens further and splits into two identical daughter cells. So if you look at it and if you relate it to what I told you at the start of the session, it's a diploid parent cell giving rise to two exactly identical diploid daughter cells. Diploid because it's got 23 pairs of chromosomes each, or 46 chromosomes in each daughter cell. This is exactly what occurs in mitosis. Okay, children. So this is very, very important, especially in ICSE. I can tell you this is super important because in the in section B of your paper, diagram based questions are quite commonly asked. As part of the 10 marks questions, there can be diagram based questions wherein one image based on one of these stages will be asked to you. I mean, one image will be shown to you and you have to identify which stage of mitosis this is, and you may be asked 2 or 3 more questions based on that image or that stage. So only if you know what events exactly happen in each of these stages would you be able to answer those questions properly. Okay, so now let us come to defining mitosis. It is a type of cell division that results in two daughter cells, each having the same number and kind of chromosomes as the parent nucleus. Thus, mitosis is also called equational division, equal division or equational division. Look at that. I think this GIF also does a pretty decent job of summarizing the entire process of mitosis. Look at that. There we go. Splitting into two. It starts off there, all of them condensing together, the chromosomes, and then nuclear membrane disappearing, and then centrioles moving to opposite poles, spindle fibers forming, then comes metaphase, sister chromatid spreading, which is anaphase, and then comes telophase, wherein the two sets of chromosomes have formed. And yes, there we go. Once cytokines is done, they are two independent daughter cells. So what is the significance of mitosis? That is also one question which can be asked in your exam. Okay, so where does it happen is what you must know to be able to understand the significance of mitosis. So as I told you, it's important in the growth of tissues and hence of an organism. How does, you know that you must have learnt in your lower grades that when a sperm and egg fuse together to form the zygote is just one cell, right? But then that one cell splits into two cells become four become 8, 16, 32, and so on, right? And then the zygote, that way, all of us, that means started off as a one cell zygote, and then it is because of repeated mitotic divisions that the embryonic stage forms, and then comes the fetal stages, and then comes the fully grown baby. After the baby is born, what happens again? Day by day, week by week, month by month, growth, physical growth happens. That is all because of mitosis. Compare our size now to what we were when we were born. Right. So that is all because of mitosis, because it resulted in increase in number of cells, which means growth of tissues and hence growth of the organism as a whole, not just in human beings, in every other eukaryotic organism where mitosis occurs, this stands true. And then it maintains the same number of chromosomes as that of the parents. Again, very, very important, right? Because chromosome number in an organism's cell is its species identity. You and me and other humans typically, normally have 46 chromosomes or 23 pairs of chromosomes in the diploid cells of our body, which are our somatic cells. Okay, and then one more importance is that it helps in repair of worn out cells. That is also another important role that mitosis plays, and it is also significant in cancer research. What happens in cancer? There is uncontrolled cell division occurs, right? So which means basically it keeps on carrying out mitosis in an uncontrollable manner. It's unable to apply its brakes, which means studies of mitosis sorry, one second. Which means study of mitosis gives better insights to the scientists and helps in cancer research by a great deal, so that more and more modes of treatment and medicines can be designed accordingly. Okay, so I think, one second. Okay, so I think that pretty much brings us to the end of this session. But before we leave, let us quickly let us quickly try to answer a few questions. Let's see who's going to be answering fastest. Okay, quiz time. And here we go. After mitotic cell division, a female human cell will have which of these? Okay, think about the answer. Okay, it's also based on what you have learnt in your lower grades, because XY chromosomes and all of that you must have learnt in your lower grades when you did the chapter cell. Okay, and your time is up. The answer is 44 plus XX chromosomes, which totally makes it 46 chromosomes. If it was a male human cell, it would have been option B, 44 plus XY chromosomes. Now children, just in case this question does not make sense to you right now, do not worry. Our upcoming chapter after we finish this is going to be about genetics, in which I will be telling you everything about autosomes and sex chromosomes. Okay, so those of you who answered this correctly, great job. Rest of you, not to worry at all. It's coming up very soon. Now, two daughter cells formed during mitosis contains dash. Read through the options very carefully. It's about the amount of DNA and the set of chromosomes, a number of chromosomes. And your time is up. There we go. The two daughter cells formed during mitosis contains the same amount of DNA and the same set of chromosomes as those of the parent cell. Okay? Because when it was preparing to divide into two daughter cells itself, the parent cell managed to calculate, not that it exactly calculates, but our body has been designed in that kind of a manner, which is why we have something called the interphase, wherein it made sure DNA replication occurred so that it has got enough to distribute among its daughter cells. Okay, and now during telophase, what happens? Nuclear membrane is formed, nucleolus reappears, astral rays disappear. All of these astral rays are simply put your spindle fibers. Okay, and your time is up. All of these, in fact. Okay, here it's written as spindle fibers disappear, so that makes a little better sense to you. Nuclear membrane is formed, nucleolus appears, and spindle fibers disappear. Telophase, which is the last stage of the mitotic or the M phase. Okay, and good job to all of you who have answered it correctly. Rest of you, do not worry at all. As long as you have understood the concepts, that's all that completely matters to me. So rest of it, yes, by the end of this chapter, I think in one more session we will be done with all the concepts in this chapter. Then we can have a doubts and a revision, a doubts and mentee session, where we can definitely answer most of your genuine doubts. Okay, so let me just let me remind you before you guys leave. You now know what is cell division, all the stages of cell division, and you also know what is mitosis, right? And do not forget the order, the sequence: IPMAT, interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Okay, and now for your homework question: normal body cells are called dash cells, and they divide by dash. Normal body cells, I mean the cells of your body which are not your sex cells or your reproductive cells. What are they called? And how do they divide? By what kind of division do they divide? Okay, so do give me the answer in the comment section below. Some of you have also been sending me emails with detailed answers. I'm very, very happy to know that, and I'm very happy to see that also. Do keep doing that, and do not get disheartened in case I do not reply immediately after you send me an email. But always remember and keep in mind that I always read through all the emails. If I do have enough time, I reply immediately, sometimes after a few days. Okay, so once again, reminding you children, to know more about our pro subscription courses, please visit vdnt.in/ytpro, and for the amazing offers that we have in store for you, for the amazing discounts, use the coupon code AMBPRO. Okay, and in case you have enjoyed the session, please do remember to hit the like button, guys, and share it with all your class 10 ICSE friends, because definitely this will benefit all of them. This is a very important concept also, and in case you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do hit the subscribe button right now and the bell icon right next to it, the channel Vedantu 9 and 10 English. And until we meet again, this is Ambika signing off. Take care, stay happy and stay healthy. Bye bye.